Blue Lock Season 2 is upon us, and we have a lot to say.
Heading into the second season, there were a lot of concerns from the community, but I don't think anyone could have prepared us for what we got.
I mean, look at the scene. He doesn't even move his foot for the pass. Like, what is even going on?
The workers at 8-Bit Studio need to explain themselves. How did they think this was okay? Who approved this?
We're coming out hot with a lot of questions. It only makes sense that we start with the beginning of this whole mess, so let's talk about Episode 1.
Episode 1 kicks off the beginning of the third selection.
The third selection is the remaining Blue Lock players, and each of these players are going to compete for a spot in the Blue Lock 11 so they can go against the Japan U20 team. So to help with all this and creating a sense of organization, Ego announced the top 6 players will form 3 teams so everyone will have the opportunity to demonstrate their skills. Only those who can insert or coexist with the top 6 will have the chance to play against the Japan U20 team.
From here we see Isagi decides to join Team A with Ren, while other notable characters choose different teams. The episode sets up intense rivalries and the pressure of proving oneself. We would see how this plays out in the events of Episode 2. But for our initial thoughts for Episode 1, Episode 1 was the beginning for a lot of false hope in the community. Now, giving credit where credit is due, 8-Bit delivered with the art style for this season.
They did improve some stuff like the art style and the auras. That looks a lot cleaner. Even the lighting, some of the way the characters look in still frame moments, they look a lot better. They have a lot more details and it fits the Blue Lock vibe a little bit better.
It was due to this upgrade in art that fans of the anime begin to feel hope that the studio will actually come through this season for the animation.
Episode 1 gave us a lot of hope, and now I'm trying to cope for the rest of the season because the next episode did not live to expectations. Episode 1 looked so great. The biggest issue is that there was no game, so we didn't see too much of the animation. The second episode really gave us our first experience of the second season's animation.
Episode 2 starts with the team draft, and we learn who is teaming up with who. Isagi goes to Ren and Shido's team along with Nanase and Hiyori, who are all representing Team A.
This is the first match that we're going to see of the second season. Team A versus Team B, and Team B will also have Chigiri in it, so this is actually going to be a fun match of Isagi versus Chigiri again. Remember, the stakes are really high because you only get one opportunity to play with the top 6 and show your worth, so it's no surprise that there's going to be a lot of tense matchups.
Talking a little bit more about the match, Isagi is trying to find a way to be useful. Ren and Isagi try to link up, but the play gets broken up by Chigiri, who is also trying to make his mark in this match.
I just want to say, what the fuck was this moment? How did Chigiri just slide in? Like, they gave him some fucking like slide right type effect and he just came in. Like, he didn't have any real animation on this scene. After this moment, Team A is able to get the ball back, and I was expecting this banger of a goal from Shido, just like in the manga, but instead, we get this weird-ass PNG image of just some effects going all around them.
This is Shido's first goal that we are able to see on screen, and it's a shame that it was done so poorly. They are going absolutely insane with all of the effects, which is trying to cover up the lack of animation, and you can't hide that there was literally nothing going on.
Right, they just add a bunch of effects and wavy lines, just trying to make it seem like something's going on, but nothing's really happening. It's just a still image. It really begs the question, what's going on, because why can't we even get one cool looking goal? But I digress. Let's move forward. We see that after this first goal, Karasu is just observing and he says it's output time, so you know he's gonna cook.
And after this, he shortly displays why he's a top 3 player and cooks both Isagi and Shido as he effortlessly deals with their double team effort. And he was able to dribble past both Isagi and Shido to score the first goal for Team B.
Compared to Shido's first goal, Karasu's moment looked a little bit better. It was alright at some moments.
And in my honest opinion, Karasu's dribbling past Shido and Isagi was probably the better part of the scene, as there was some actual animation behind it. But once he gets past them, he's quite literally a sliding PNG, with the others showing no movement or reaction at all to him literally dribbling past him, which is just absolutely insane.
Let's move on to Otoya's goal. We see Karasu is continuing to be a problem, and he's trying to win the ball and keep possession between all these players. And once again, this looks really awkward and really rough. We see Karasu is able to hold up all these people, and he's able to send a great pass to Otoya. What is this animation? How does he get around Rin like this? His stealth steps are supposed to be way smoother than this.
This whole sequence of events is definitely very rough. I'm a huge fan of Karasu, and I feel like this is one of the bigger highlights of this match for him. I mean, he's getting around 3 defenders. This should have been a huge highlight for Karasu, but it's almost ruined by the fact that, once again, it's just PNGs and effects.
Yeah, it sucks because in the manga, Karasu and Otoya's link up seems so cool, and you want these panels to come into life in the anime. And to go back into the match, we see that Team A is trying to bounce back, and Hiri is now showing his great potential as a passer and linking up with Rin right now.
So we see he sends a pass over to Ren, who is then quickly defended by Otoya. Shido also arrives to help, even despite having Chigiri on his tail. This is where Ren shows that he's the main character and uses the number 2 as a decoy to pull off an excellent blind shot. This would score the second goal for Team Team A.
Easily, Rin's blind shot goal was probably the best out of all of these goals in the second episode. That's not saying a lot. This match was really hard to watch. Even Chigri's moment where he finally gets to step up and have a moment by linking up with Krasu and Otoya, his whole scene was just really weird. Like, they switched to CGI and they gave him that weird, like, train automotive animation where he just steams up a front and then he just sends a cross that's not even really moving. Again, Otoya scores a header, but he wasn't moving either, so it all around just seemed really weak. It just didn't have any impact.
Yeah, and it's a shame because there could have been potential. I really did feel the energy in this scene. I do want to highlight that. Unfortunately, once it just goes into a close-up of Chigiri's face and you realize they just don't want to animate him running, it takes away from all that.
The goals are supposed to be amazing because, you know, it's a football anime, so you're supposed to see these bangers, and then all the goals in this episode have been wicked disappointing. Even the last goal that Krasu scored, there's nothing special about it. It showed a close-up of his face, and then it was just a stale image of him just kicking the ball but no movement at all. I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, that was the whole episode?
Outside of all the episodes and the third selection so far, this was probably the worst and weakest one.
Oh, for sure. This is easily the worst episode in the second season so far. Moving forward, it gets a little bit better.
In episode 3, the intense match between Team A and Team B reaches a turning point. After trailing 4-2, Isagi struggles to sync with teammates. However, he unlocks a new ability that revitalizes his game.
Yeah, after realizing the trouble between Rin and Shido, Isagi notices that if he can coordinate with his other teammates, he could actually prove to be effective again. After this, we see Nanase also acknowledges this, and he moves in to start helping Isagi and expand the whole game.
Suddenly, Shido rushes up to Isagi with his back to the net. Isagi believes that he can pass to Shido to get around Chigiri, before Shido will pass back to him and give him the chance to score. Instead, he passes to Shido, who then pivots his entire body and scores on his own, narrowing the deficit to 4-3. Now, I did say he pivoted his whole body, but I guess the animators had something different in mind, because we only saw his foot turn.
How did they do this so dirty? Shido is supposed to have some of the best goals in the match, and they did him so dirty. The second one was supposed to be this cool spinning shot, but instead it just looked goofy as fuck.
Yeah, there's honestly no excuse for it at this point. I feel like if they really wanted to cut corners and try to save budget and time on animating a lot of these scenes, they should have put more effort into the actual goal animations, because those are the real highlights of the match.
To go back into the match, Isagi, Hiri, and Nanase are linking up and proving to be effective. They all move down the field, and it looks like Isagi has the moment to score a goal. They send this ball, and Isagi misses completely.
And we see Otoya rush for this now free ball, with Otoya kicking it away from Team B's net. Rin and Karasu fight for the ball, with Rin winning it out and scoring in the process, tying the game at 4-4.
And what's really weird is, as soon as the ball's out of the scene, the animation kind of gets a little bit better, and we see Isagi and Hiri have this really big conversation about learning how to play reflexively. This scene actually looks pretty clean, and this whole moment plays as a huge moment later on, because in the dying moments of this match, Isagi finally acknowledges Hiri's advice, and he's able to enter this new realm where he's able to play off his instincts.
You see Hiyori is just dancing around Chigiri and passes the ball. Both Ren and Shido move to receive this pass, but Isagi dashes ahead of them both. Shido is absolutely amazed by Isagi's speed and intensity, and Ren can't even believe what he's seeing either. And with all of his might, Isagi scores the winning goal, ending the match 5-4 for Team A.
We get this weird ass Vex going all around them. I hate the green aura on Isagi. This shit looks terrible, and there was no real movement as well before that. He just exploded. It was the same effect kind of like Chigiri had, where it's just like locomotive, just like run forward. The best moment was close up on his face, and the kicking the ball. That was probably the best like animation we've seen, besides probably like his action roll. That was actually probably the best animation we've seen all season long so far.
I definitely liked what they were doing with this goal for the most part. I really love the intensity and how Isagi looked, especially with the whites of his eyes becoming completely black. I think that looks really sick.
There's a really popular moment going on in the communities. A Blue Lock fan animator, Not L, he did a whole panel of that exact moment in the third episode where it showed Isagi's awakening and that winning goal. And his version was so much cleaner, and it's not even funny about how a Blue Lock fan animator has better animation and better visuals than the actual fucking studio that's doing the Blue Lock anime. It's just fucking crazy. We won't go into much more topic about this because we still need to talk about episode 4. I will say one of my biggest pet peeves about episode 4 is that they spent too much time recapping on Isagi's winning goal with Yuri and Nanase. I know we did have that moment in the manga, but I felt like they spent too much time doing that. Really, episode 4 should be focusing on Nagi and Reo going against Team A, but there was so much fluff in between that. Let's kind of skip about a lot of this Reo backstory, because I also felt like this was my other big issue with this episode. We spent so much time on the backstory of Reo, trying trying to figure out his ego. I will say, the overall match when we finally got into it, it was actually not that bad. I will say, there was definitely some weird moments still, but the beginning sequence where it was just Nagi and Ryo trading passes, it was actually a lot better compared to the last episode.
Episode 4 definitely showed a pretty big improvement compared to its previous episodes, and even just seeing Nagi in action was just really cool to see.
He was able to trap the gyro shot and score a banger. You know, I won't complain because the ball finally has movement again, and it looks like it's actually starting to get back to season 1 a little bit in terms of fluidity. I will say, I really like the moment, especially with Ryo when he finally awakened that chameleon style and he shot the gyro shot. That was probably the best looking goal, and I do want to say, Apit, do you hate Isagi? Because why are you giving Ryo much better animation and a cooler looking goal?
Yeah, that definitely has me scratching my head a little bit, because if anything, Isagi's goal from that first match should have had way more attention to detail than it got. Ryo's goal was really cool, especially the fact that he was able to copy Yukimiya's gyro shot that we saw earlier, which I would like to highlight. Yukimiya was very cool in this episode. And I also do just love the story of this match as well. It was a lot of just Ryo trying to, I guess, almost catch up to Nagi in a sense. Ryo is very jealous of the fact that Nagi is just evolving at a pace that is much more rapid than he is. It was cool to see Ryo get his moment and truly become useful in this match and have him feel that he can stand on the same stage as Nagi.
I liked how episode 4 did end off with that little after moment of Itoshi Sai meeting the Japan U20 board, and that whole scene also just looked really good. And you probably are wondering why the whole budget was just spent on Itoshi Sai, because he looks magnificent. The episode ended off on a huge cliffhanger.
But with that, it brings us to the events of episode 5, which we predict is probably going to just be a little bit of Ren and Shido's team going against the last Team B, and Ego just explaining what flow is.
Yeah, there's a really good chance that episode 5 is not going to start the U20 match. We might even have to wait until episode 6 until the U20 match. Like Lotus said, it's probably going to be a lot more yap.
Right. So initially, when they announced the season would be scheduled for 14 episodes, we had figured that, okay, if they spend like 4 episodes on the third selection and 10 on U20, it could be doable. Like, there's a chance that they'd be able to pull it off. However, we are currently 4 episodes deep, with the 5th one probably not even kicking off the U20 match like we talked about. So that gives us about 8.5 to 9 episodes of the U20. I don't know if that's going to be enough to really cover everything.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be enough. I'm very much afraid of what's going to happen for us this season. Some of the stuff still looked rough, like when they compared Yukimiya to Bachira's dribbling. You could literally tell the difference between season 1 and season 2, but I digress, and I will say this is going to be very much make or break for the community, because depending on how this U20 match goes, I don't know if we're going to get a 3rd season.
I do want to pose something to you. There are people that do suggest that maybe the budget was saved for this U20 match. How do you feel about that?
I'll believe it when I see it, because they have not given me anything that I can solidly trust yet. It's really a toss-up. What do you think, Lotus?
To be honest, chat, I think we're cooked. I'll be honest. I think we are cooked. I think they are showing us exactly what they're going to give us in the U20 match. Sure, Ren is going to be a PNG, and we just have to accept it. I don't know what to tell you guys.
All right, well, here, folks. If you guys have any hope left, please share it with us, because it's looking like some dark days.
I also want to take a moment just to highlight some of the Blue Lock manga animators out there that have been holding down the community and feeding us for so long. You guys are doing an incredible job. We definitely appreciate it even more with some of the stuff we're seeing this season.
You're doing the whole community a huge amount of justice. And with that being said, thank you for sticking to the end and listening to us rant about Blue Lock Season 2. It's been a painful journey, but we're here until the end, so you'll probably hear us talk about the U20 match and how that goes as well. And if you enjoyed the video, please don't forget to like, comment, or subscribe if you haven't already.
Yep, and we also do have a link to our community Discord. You can find that link in the description of this video below.
Thank you for sticking to the end. It's Tev.
And it's Lotus.
Peace.
Catch you in the next one.